First signals. The signal arrived at 3:17 Coordinated Earth time. Commander Elise Park of the Athena Orbital Station was already awake, sipping bitter coffee from a zero-gravity pouch when the alert chimed. She floated to the comms console, brows furrowed, as the data scrolled across the screen. Clean, repeating sequences far too structured to be natural. She didn't need the AI to tell her. This wasn't a pulsar. It wasn't a glitch. It was a message. Within the hour, the United Earth Communications Authority had confirmed the same result: a coherent, mathematically compressed transmission of non-human origin. Embedded in the signal was a time and a set of coordinates, an invitation. A meeting point beyond the Kuiper Belt, 90 days from now. The world held its breath. Humanity had reached the stars cautiously. FTL communication had only been achieved in the last decade. Ships could still only cruise just under light speed. They had scanned planets, launched drones, and listened, but this was the first time someone or something had spoken back. On Earth, in the domed city of Geneva, too, a council convened beneath layers of security. Military leaders argued for full mobilization. Others advocated silence. But a third voice, measured, reasoned, cut through the noise. Dr. Lian Zhou, expert in alien linguistics and synthetic cognition, stood calm amidst the storm. "This isn't a threat," she said. "It's a test. Someone is watching how we respond. If we panic, we fail before we've even met." She was chosen to lead the diplomatic envoy. The United Earth Coalition would not go unguarded, however. A small exploration vessel, Resolute, would carry Lian and her team to the coordinates. A cloaked cruiser, the Vigilant, would follow at a distance, silent and armed. Earth's message to the stars was simple: we seek peace, but we are not defenseless. Before departure, Lian stood alone in the docking bay, staring at the hull of the Resolute. It gleamed under hangar lights, a symbol of hope wrapped in titanium alloy. She ran her fingers over the mission patch, a stylized handshake between human and alien hands, ringed by the words curiosity, caution, contact. Her second-in-command, Commander Rain Kemdish, joined her. "Still time to back out," he said, only half joking. Lian smiled faintly. "This is the work of centuries, Ray. All the listening, the math, the simulations, it brought us here." He nodded, tapping the patch on his own suit. "Let's just hope they understand what that handshake means." As the launch countdown echoed through the station, Lian closed her eyes briefly. The unknown awaited, a civilization out there, intelligent enough to reach out, deliberate enough to wait. What do they want? The screen in mission control blinked again. The alien signal had stopped transmitting, right on schedule. Now it was humanity's turn to respond. And Earth had just whispered back. The silent language. The rendezvous point was nothing but empty black. No star, no planet, just the yawning quiet of space beyond the Kuiper Belt. Resolute came to a full stop 300 kilometers from the coordinates. No sign of any vessel, until one blinked into existence. It didn't arrive so much as emerge, like an optical illusion corrected by focus. The ship was sleek, curved, and entirely devoid of seams or visible propulsion. It hovered motionless, an obsidian teardrop against the stars. Getting no active scans from it, Ray said from the ops console. No weapons arrays. No EM emissions. It's like it's not even here. Lian leaned forward. "That's our host." A voice came through the comms, digital, synthetic, and carefully neutral. "Boarding permitted. No weapons." Translation system initializing. The team assembled: Lian Ray, 2 security officers, and the diplomatic AI node Calliope. They entered the airlock and stepped into the alien ship. The interior was unsettlingly quiet. Walls pulsed faintly, as if the vessel was breathing. No sharp corners. Every surface felt grown, not built. The air was breathable, but sterile. Lights flickered in rhythmic pulses. Then they came. The Delcari moved with impossible precision, four-limbed and insectoid, their exoskeletons a polished emerald sheen. No mouths, no eyes in the human sense. Just clusters of sensory ridges and vibrating fronds that shimmered with a strange resonance. Lian waited. The Delcary emitted a series of harmonic tones, like wind chimes underwater. Calliope processed for 3 seconds and spoke aloud. We acknowledge your presence. You are an anomaly. Lien raised her voice. We come in peace. We accept your invitation. A pause. The Delcary replied in musical tones. Calliope translated again. You are volatile, adaptive, variable, not aligned with known peace species. Ray muttered under his breath. That's diplomatic code for dangerous. Lien ignored him. We are capable of peace and reason. We request open dialogue. The Delcary's next tones were slower, more complex. Dialogue requires stable reference. You exhibit emotional variance and symbolic inconsistency. These are threats to harmony. The implication was clear. Humans were unpredictable, and unpredictability was dangerous. Emotion is not chaos, Lien said carefully. It allows for understanding beyond logic. Compassion, empathy. A ripple of tonal vibrations passed among the Delcary group. For a moment, Lien feared she had overstepped. Then one of them stepped forward, slightly smaller than the others. The resonance it emitted was softer, inquisitive. Calliope translated. You process contradiction without collapse. This is singular. Lien took a breath. We are not aligned with your standard, but we are not enemies. There was silence, true silence, for nearly a minute. Then the Delcary responded. You may continue discourse. But no, instability is rarely tolerated. The Accord has its rules. Lien nodded. We're ready to listen. As they were led deeper into the alien vessel, she knew this was only the beginning. They had been invited to a conversation, but it would be on alien terms. And the cost of misunderstanding might not be war, but containment. The defense question. 3 days into talks, progress stalled. The Delcary Accord, as they called themselves, wasn't a single species, but a coalition, hundreds of civilizations standardized under a singular diplomatic framework. Harmony, stability, and predictability were the core tenets. Every member had submitted to oversight, uniform cultural protocols, and what they termed defensive behavioral limitations. To humanity, it sounded like voluntary sterilization. Ambassador Lien Zhou sat across from Sujikinar, the Delcary liaison. They were alone in a low-gravity chamber of neutral ambience, designed to reduce perceived threat levels. The air hummed with faint acoustic feedback, like distant whale song. Sujak's tone came through Calliope's translator, smooth and deliberate. All members signed the Stability Pact. It ensures continuity of civilization. Chaos is curtailed. War is prevented. Lien folded her hands. And in exchange, technological sharing, safe trade routes, biocultural preservation, peace. But we'd have to disarm, submit to cultural alignment standards, and allow external observation of our population, she said flatly. Observation is not interference. Conformity is the cost of collective peace. Lien's jaw tightened. You've neutralized cultures before. A long pause. Those that refused alignment and proved unstable were restructured, softly, peacefully. Preemptive stabilization is less costly than response to aggression. Back on Earth, news of the talks leaked despite security. A Delcary probe, unauthorized, had entered Earth's orbital perimeter and was shot down by an autonomous satellite system belonging to a rogue Earth defense block. The incident wasn't fatal, but sent a message. The Delcary responded by mobilizing a containment fleet. Not a declaration of war, they claimed, but a proximity stabilization force. Earth's orbital command considered it a threat. The Vigilant, still cloaked in deep space, activated its active targeting systems. Tensions escalated. In her quarters aboard Resolute, Lien watched the sensor feeds in silence. Sujikinar's final offer had arrived. Accept the pact within 72 hours or risk protective measures. Ray paced behind her. We can't win a war with them, Lien. Not yet. But we also can't let them rewrite what it means to be human. Lien nodded. They don't fear our weapons, Ray. They fear our choices. Then what's our move? She turned to him, eyes steely. We show them that unpredictability isn't instability. That emotion isn't a flaw. That independence doesn't mean threat. Ray folded his arms. You're going to out-diplomat the most paranoid civilization in the galaxy? No, she said, tapping her comms. I'm going to show them a different kind of defense. She uploaded a secure package to the diplomatic relay, Earth's Classified Sentience Adaptive Negotiation System, or SANS. It was more than an AI. It was a mirror designed to analyze alien cultures in real time and construct empathic counterdialogues, exploiting not weaknesses but assumptions. If Earth couldn't outgun the Delcari, it could outthink them. Lien sent the message. Our answer, she whispered, is understanding on our terms. And for the first time, the Delcari would hear a human response they hadn't predicted. The best defense. The response from the Delcari came 12 hours later. A direct transmission, encoded in triple-spectrum harmonics, addressed solely to Ambassador Lianzhou. It arrived not with threats or ultimatums, but with a question. What is SANS? They were rattled. That was good. Lien stood before the full diplomatic assembly aboard the Delcari vessel, surrounded by harmonic speakers and biosensory arrays. Sujinar hovered across from her, motionless, his resonance subdued. The containment fleet lingered at the edge of the system, silent, watching. She spoke clearly, backed by Calliope's translation and a live feed from the Sentience Adaptive Negotiation System. SANS is not a weapon. It's a mirror, Lien began. It listens, it learns, and it speaks not in domination, but in reflection. You judge us unstable because we do not conform. But stability built on suppression isn't peace, it's fear. A low ripple of tonal discord passed through the Delcari representatives. SANS has already analyzed your accord's psychological foundation, Lien continued. Its cultural synthesis patterns, even your internal dissent factions. We didn't need to hack your systems. We only needed to listen to what you'd chosen to forget. She tapped her console. A visual feed projected mid-air, SANS mapping dozens of Delcari-controlled species, highlighting patterns of cultural atrophy, suppressed innovation, and stagnant evolution. The image wasn't inflammatory. It was precise, surgical. You speak of protection, she said, her voice quiet now. But you've built a cage so carefully, even you forgot the lock was there. Sujakinar's resonance shifted. You would risk collapse for freedom? No, Lien replied. We believe the best defense isn't fear. It's understanding and choice. She stepped forward. We won't sign your stability pact, but we will keep talking. We'll trade. We'll share ideas. You wanted to know if we're a threat. Here's your answer. Only if you try to control us. Silence fell. Then, remarkably, Sujakinar emitted a soft, harmonic note. A tone that Calliope translated as a concept, not a word, concession. Then you remain observed but uncontained, he said. Curiosity may proceed. Lien bowed slightly. That's all we ask. Later, back aboard the Resolute, Ray leaned on the edge of the console, watching the containment fleet disappear one by one into FTL folds. You think they'll keep their word? Lien shrugged. They don't trust us. But now, they respect us. That's enough. And SANS. She looked out at the stars, the AI's interface dimming behind her. We showed them a weapon they couldn't counter because it wasn't a weapon. It was a reflection. Ray grinned. The best defense, Lien smiled faintly, is to be understood and impossible to control. The stars ahead were endless. The unknown remained. But Earth had spoken in its own voice and been heard. First contact was complete. Humanity would not be tamed.